Hey, hi, and howdy, friends. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, my name is Courtney, and I do food and kitchen-related content, grocery hauls, cooking videos, meal preps. You'll find that here on my channel, and if you like that kind of content, make sure you smash that subscribe button and stick around and drop me a comment down below so I know you're here. I'm so thankful for all of you that join me here every week. I appreciate you guys more than you will ever know, and it's super exciting to see people come and watch this and my channel will start to grow. Thank you guys so much. All right, so let's kick this one off with some summer shrimp Alfredo. I was gonna go like plain and traditional, regular shrimp Alfredo, but I was feeling something a little bit lighter and brighter because it is so hot this summer. So I'm just kind of winging it and throwing some things together. First off, I put a little bit of garlic oil in the pan and then tossed in my shrimp just to get them mostly cooked all the way through. And then I'm just seasoning them with this Kinder's Italian blend because I think it tastes fabulous. But you could use any seasoning you want. You could just do Italian seasoning, salt and pepper. It's totally up to you. Whatever you want your shrimp to taste like is fine. This seasoning doesn't overpower anything. It just kind of gives a little bit of vibrancy to the shrimp. So once those have cooked pretty much all the way through, I'm going to go ahead and remove them from the pan and set them to the side. We want to be careful not to overcook the shrimp. So we want to make sure that we just pop them back in at the very end so they get a minute or two just to kind of finish warming through. Now I'm going to add some butter and a little bit of extra garlic oil to my pan just so that the butter, it doesn't burn. If you add some oil, it tends to kind of keep it from burning. Next, I'm going to add the zest of 1 lemon and the juice of 1 lemon. I'm just kind of popping my little butter knife in there to help juice it and hopefully keep the seeds inside because if you guys watch my channel, I broke my juicer a while back and for the life of me, I cannot remember to purchase a new one, but that's okay. This is an easy fix. You can always do this by hand. Sometimes I just use a strainer and juice my lemons and limes over a strainer. Either way, it works just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that in with that butter that has now finished melting. And I'm going to, again, just use my Kinder's Italian blend seasoning just to kind of keep everything the same all the way through, but you can season however you choose. And then here's where I'm going to differ. Normally you would add a lot of milk or a lot of heavy cream, but I'm going to stick with just half a cup. I want this sauce to have a little bit of that creaminess that Alfredo has, but I don't want it to be super heavy like a traditional Alfredo. So half a cup did it for me. And we've got that vibrant lemon in there bringing it to life. And then I added a half a cup of wine. Now you don't have to do that. You could add just plain chicken broth if you want to, or if I didn't have any wine on hand, I'd probably just add half a cup of my pasta water because it's starchy and delicious and seasoned with salt and some of that pasta flavor. So there's lots of ways to do this, but I happen to have a bottle of wine that I'm slowly working my way through in the fridge as I cook. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add in some Parmesan cheese. It's best if you can use fresh Parmesan cheese, and it's best if you can make it like completely powdered. But I do not have a box grater, and again, for the life of me, just cannot remember to purchase one. So I've just shredded it on my microplane. So it doesn't always melt down to that beautiful, invisible creaminess that you're looking for. Sometimes you can see the cheese. That's why I say if you can do it like that really fine grated that you see sometimes at the store, that's even better. Next, I added some pepper because I think Alfredo sauce always tastes fabulous with pepper. I don't worry about using white pepper because I don't care if I can see the pepper flakes in mine. If that bothers you, make sure you use white pepper at that stage so you don't notice those pepper flakes. And then finally, I'm going to just pull the pasta straight from the cooking water into the pan when it's about 2 minutes shy of being done and let it finish cooking in the pan with the sauce. Now you're going to see it immediately just absorb up all that beautiful sauce you've made, so just have a ladle or a measuring cup on hand to add some of that pasta water in there just to kind of keep this liquidy and beautiful and creamy and smooth and delicious. And this is one of my favorite ways to make pasta. I wish I had been doing it more throughout my life. It's something I've kind of come to newer. But finishing your pasta cooking in the sauce like this, letting it absorb it and adding a little pasta water just to kind of thin it out when need be, makes a much more beautiful finished pasta at the end. And it really doesn't take any extra steps. Plus, I am not dirtying a strainer, so I'm actually saving myself from having to wash a dish. Then I just went ahead and added my shrimp back in there and let it heat through for the last like 2 or 3 minutes that this is cooking. And basically you can see it's come together. That sauce is tightened up. It's creamy and it's beautiful. It's not runny or anything like that. And it's really adhered to the pasta because we finished cooking the pasta in that sauce, and it makes it just look really nice and glossy and smooth. And the flavor is so delicious because it's just cooked right into the noodles. Finally, I've got some of this micro broccoli in my fridge. I love this stuff. I didn't want it to go to waste though, so I just threw that on top, but you can really toss in any veggie you choose. But this was fabulous. Would totally do that again. All right, y'all, caprese grilled cheese. This was something I was super looking forward to. I love caprese salad, especially in the summer when tomatoes are at their finest. So I thought, you know what? A grilled cheese out of caprese. I saw somebody do something similar the other day, and I was like, that is where it's at. There actually used to be a restaurant that we ate at quite some time ago. It's long since shut down, but they served a grilled caprese panini that my husband and I both adored. So this was definitely long overdue for me to just make it for us. So I started off by just getting some nice sourdough bread from my store, but you can use any kind of bread that you like, whether it's multigrain, plain white bread, it really doesn't matter. Get bread you like. I picked sourdough because it's nice and hearty. Then I went ahead and put some pesto on my bread. We're using that as kind of like our sauce here. Then I layered on some thinly sliced tomatoes, and I like to salt my tomatoes. It really just brings out the flavor in them quite a bit. You can salt them in the bowl before you put them on your sandwich if you want. I did not do that because we got home late, so I was just kind of like doing this on the spot. Then I took some fresh mozzarella. Now you could use just a regular rubbery kind that you have to shred if you want to, and that's fine too. But I really wanted to elevate this by using the fresh mozzarella because that's what I would use in caprese salad. And I layered that on, and then this was where the magic was. This balsamic glaze right here is so fabulous. I picked this up at Walmart. I think it was about $5. I don't think it was $5 when I originally put it in my cart prior to ordering my groceries, but it was $5 once it got here. Either way, I would buy it again now that I've had it. So I just drizzled a little bit onto my sandwich. A little goes a long way. It's a very bold flavor, but it's wonderful. I've got my griddle heating up. I just finished making grilled cheeses for my boys. You can see some of the cheddar cheese still there. And I just put a little butter on there, and I'm gonna go ahead and just toast this up like you would a regular grilled cheese sandwich. I do like to put a foil tint on mine just to help it heat all the way through because it's a very thick sandwich. And there I'm going to just move it off to the side once it's had time to cook on side A and flip it over. Look at that gorgeous color. That is exactly what you're looking for. That butter has done its job. You've got flavor and texture. Oh, it's so good. And there it is. It was super simple. It took me about 10 minutes to throw the sandwich together, and I just served it with chips. All right, bacon ranch pasta, or chicken bacon ranch pasta. This is a slow cooker meal. I was looking forward to this one, and I'm gonna say it wasn't bad, but I would not make it like this again. I would cook my pasta separately for two reasons. One, because it gets kind of mushy when you cook it in the slow cooker, and two, because it just was overpowering with the salty ranch flavor. But we'll get there. Let's start at the beginning. First, I added a few cups of water into my slow cooker. I have a Ninja Foodie. It does all the things, so that is what I'm using today. It is linked down below if you're interested in it. This is by far my favorite kitchen appliance. I think it's fantastic. It air fries, and it pressure cooks, and it slow cooks, it sears, it sautés. I love it. So I didn't have any chicken broth, which is what the recipe called for. By the way, all the recipes will be linked or listed down below in the description box for y'all to try these at home. So I just used beef broth in its place, which was fine. I always keep like bouillon or beef base on hand, so I just mix that into the water. Then you're supposed to add in 1 packet of ranch seasoning. I just buy the big shaker tub at Sam's Club, so I added that in, and then I kind of just decided to zhuzh it up a little bit extra, just like I would if I was doing regular ranch dip or anything like that. I added in some extra herbs, which is parsley and dill, because that's what I had on hand today. And then I added in a little bit extra garlic and onion powder. Again, that's what I would do if I was making a dip. When I make my seasoned crackers, all that kind of stuff, I always add that stuff in extra. Then I had a couple of chicken thighs. They are bone in, which is fine because we're going to shred this meat later. I did remove the skin, and I let those cook in that liquid for about 4 hours until they were super soft and just fall apart tender. Then I fished them out of my slow cooker. All that juice is still in there, and now it's flavored with that chicken that cooked in there as well. I did, stir through to make sure I got all the chicken thighs out. I couldn't remember quite how many I put in there. Sometimes that happens. All right, so now you're supposed to add in some cream cheese. I added in about half the amount of cream cheese just simply because we don't love the taste of cream cheese, and it can overpower things pretty darn quickly. So I only did half of it, and I don't think this is what the problem was for me. I really do feel like the problem for me and for my husband as well was just cooking the pasta in this water that was so flavorful. It was just too much. So I went ahead and let that heat through for a little while just so the cream cheese would kind of like soften up a little bit more, and then I was able to mostly mix it into the liquid that is remaining in the pot. I shredded my chicken while that was going on. As you can see, I'm just adding that shredded chicken right back into that liquid, stirring it around, making sure that there's no big chunks left in there. And then I let it cook for about 30 more minutes just so everybody could kind of come together and join the party. I feel like that really kind of helps out a little bit. You're supposed to add milk at this point, but I only had coconut milk, so I went ahead and added in just some heavy cream, and I just added in half the amount that it called for if I was using regular milk, just because heavy cream is obviously so much thicker. So I added that in, and I started to kind of become concerned about the amount of liquid that I saw in this pot, but I'm following the recipe instructions, so I'm like, well, I guess it's okay. So I went ahead and dumped my pasta in, and I will say at the end it did not soak up enough of the liquid, and it did not release enough starch to thicken it the way I would have liked, but it was still fine. The sauce texture was fine. I would have liked it to be a little bit more creamy, but it's okay. I then realized I forgot to add in the bacon, so I added in a couple of strips of bacon that I had cooked the day before for breakfast. And this is what it looks like. Again, the pasta gets really soft and mushy. I would not cook it in my slow cooker again. I would cook it on my stovetop like I always do, and then add it in separately. That way it doesn't take on so much of that overwhelming ranch flavor, and the texture is so much better. But overall, this dish was tasty, and if you love chicken bacon ranch, you're gonna love this one. Okay, banh mi meatballs. Yes, I am here for it. These were fabulous. These were so full of fresh flavor. So the recipe I'm listing below just tells you how to make the sauce in the bowls, and it tells you to use store-bought meatballs, which I did not have on hand. So I'm just whipping up my own. I've got some ground turkey in the bowl. I added in an egg. I added in some breadcrumbs, and then I'm going to season it with some salt, some pepper, some garlic powder, some onion powder, and then I've got this Kinder's barbecue or Japanese barbecue seasoning. I don't use it all that often, so I thought this would be a great opportunity to kind of throw it in there. It's got like some ginger and garlic and soy flavor in there, and I think it was a really good addition to these meatballs. It has a lot of great flavor. I don't cook Asian food every single week, so I don't use it as often as I would like to. So I added all of that in, and then I just mixed it together, and I could immediately tell that I didn't have quite enough breadcrumbs. Ground turkey is very, very wet. And so sometimes you do have to add a little bit extra breadcrumbs and stuff in there just to kind of get it to pull together. It's still going to be super sticky. It's not like working with ground beef, but you can get it to work just fine. I just knew I needed more breadcrumbs at that point. So I went ahead and tossed those in. I'm using panko because it's what I have on hand, but you can use whatever you want. It really is like totally up to you, whatever breadcrumbs you choose. Typically I would have the Italian seasoned breadcrumbs on hand, and I ran out, and I keep forgetting to get more, but you will see that on my next grocery haul because I did order it from Walmart, and I am in fact going to go pick up my groceries here in just a little bit. So unless they are out, I will have some breadcrumbs back in my house, but I still did not get a juicer or a box grater. Okay, so I'm rolling the meatballs. I do this by hand. As you can see, these are very sticky. And again, it's not like working with ground beef, but don't worry about it because they do firm up quite nicely in the pan. Just kind of mold them into a general shape of what you're looking for. You could do meatballs or you could do meat patties. It really is fine. You're going to serve these in little bowls, so whatever shape is easier for you to cook. Oftentimes, I will do kind of more of a patty instead of a ball, just because it's easier for me to cook the patties and get them cooked all the way through. On this particular day, I was kind of adhering to what the recipe called for, which was meatballs, so I'm making those. And this is super simple. It's a basic meatball recipe. It's nothing fancy. If I was doing this Italian style, I would have added in parsley, oregano, and Parmesan cheese, but I'm just doing a basic meatball, and you can do this with ground beef, ground chicken, ground pork, ground turkey, whatever you have. These basic ingredients will get you a basic meatball that tastes really good. All right, so over to the stove, I've got some of my garlic oil in my skillet. If you are new here, I do make garlic oil and confit garlic. It's my favorite condiment in my kitchen, and I will link the video for that down below. It's a short video, and it's super simple to make, but it goes a long way, and it just really elevates the things you cook. If you like roasted garlic in the oven, then you will love confit garlic. All right, so I am putting all of my meatballs in that skillet and accidentally bumping into the camera because if y'all don't know this, I am super clumsy as a person. I'm kind of giving them a little shake just to make sure the oil is kind of getting around everybody because my stove seems like it's kind of like a little crooked, so the oil always goes to one side. And then I'm going to put the lid on just to help them cook all the way through. So once they are done cooking, I moved them to a separate dish. I just did a quick wipe of the pan with a paper towel. I did not clean it out. There was just like a lot of oil in the bottom of the pan that I didn't want, so just a quick wipe. Then I went ahead and started on the sauce, which is what the recipe is for. It is listed down below in the description box. It is teriyaki sauce, sweet Thai chili sauce, and fish sauce. And I added all that in. I decided I wanted some garlic, so I did add some of my confit garlic in there, and I'm just kind of mashing it and breaking it up into that sauce. I've got this heating up on low. You don't want to cook this on high. There's a lot of sugar in teriyaki sauce, so this will burn. You really want to keep an eye on it, and it will thicken and get a little stickier as well. So this has had a little time to kind of come together now, and I'm going to give a quick taste test just to make sure it's what I'm looking for. It doesn't need anything because it only called for those ingredients, and I thought it was really good. So I went ahead and added my meatballs back in, but then realized I need to let them simmer for about 10 minutes, and I feel like the sauce is a little too thick for that and it's going to scald. So I did make the executive decision to go ahead and toss in a little bit of water. I did about half a cup or so, maybe a quarter cup, just enough to kind of loosen everything up and just make the sauce a little more saucy. By the time these were finished simmering, the sauce had tightened right back up and it was perfect consistency. So here is the accoutrement. That's so fancy, right? This is what we're going to put in our bowls. I've got some pickled onions that I made, some mint, some cilantro, some shredded carrots, and I made those quick pickle cucumbers. All very easy to throw together. Just some rice wine vinegar, sugar, and salt. And then we just assembled our bowls over some plain white rice, poured the sauce on top. I did not add carrots to mine because I just don't like carrots, but I had everything else and this was so delicious. All right, that ends this week's video. Thank you guys for joining me here and tuning in and watching. I appreciate y'all, and I will see you soon with my grocery haul on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.